how do we find the area of a rectangle from yesterday? Yeah, area of a rectangle is length times width. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh my goodness, 3 times 5. Our area is 15 units squared. We talked about labeling area with units squared yesterday. Now it says find the area of the triangle ACD. Any thoughts about finding the area of the triangle? Why don't you turn and talk to your partner? If I know the area of the rectangle, how's it related to the area of this triangle? Turn and talk to your partner. I'll give you 1 minute. What do you think? Any ideas? What do we think? Any ideas? Area of the triangle. How's it related to area of the rectangle? What is it?
It's half the rectangle.
Yeah, it's half the rectangle. Can you write that in? We'll write that in for 3. How's the area of the rectangle and the triangle related? The triangle is half the area of the rectangle. Do we see that? Do we see that? So to find the area, I'm going to do 15 and divide it by 2. Because I know the whole rectangle is 15. So I'm going to divide it by 2. And I should get 7.5 units squared. Have we ever done an area of a triangle before? Maybe? Okay. Let's just write the equation. The area of a triangle. Let's see. We did length times width, and then we divided it by 2. So there's a couple ways you could write it. You could say, and we're going to use base times height. Base times height. And you could divide that by 2. That's one way. You could say 1/2 times base times height. Those are 2 ways you might see the area formula. And we're going to use base and height when we're talking about triangles, because a triangle doesn't really have length and width, because we're looking at half a rectangle or part of a rectangle. Are we okay with how a triangle and a rectangle are related? Are we good with that? Great, let's move on. Number 4. Number 4. It says the base of the triangle and its height are always perpendicular to each other. What does perpendicular mean again? What angle? 90. Can you write in 90 above here in case you forgot? They're always perpendicular to each other. On the triangles below, identify where the height is on each image. Good morning. You have to identify the base, B, and the height, H, for each triangle. For this one in the middle, the height is right there because it makes a 90-degree relationship. The base would be right here. Do we see that? The height and the base, because it's making this perpendicular relationship. What type of triangle is this? What will we call it? A right triangle. So a right triangle, it's really easy to see the base and the height because you already have that 90-degree symbol here. What type of triangle is right here? It was in the math joke above. It's obtuse. So for an obtuse triangle, I'm going to draw in my height. I'm going to draw in my height, make a 90-degree relationship. That's my H. This whole side is my base, B. It's important that we're labeling now. So for this last one, it's definitely obtuse. And we are actually going to draw in our height on the outside to make a perpendicular relationship. So this is my height. This distance is my base. So sometimes you might have to draw in the height on the outside depending on the type of triangle. And the base, well, we told you the base. So based off the base, can you draw in the heights and label it with H? Let's see if you could do this with your partner. So you might need to flip back. Might need to look at it. Based off where the base is, what type of triangle it is, can you sketch in the height? We might need to write that up here. So again, your height must be 90 degrees with the base. Okay? So for the next one, I would actually draw it on the outside because it's obtuse. It's just really tiny. It's really tiny on the outside here. The last one we would draw it in. I know, it's a little hard to see at first. Using your answer to number 3, can you write an equation? I think we already wrote it.
Yeah.
We already wrote it. Half times the base times the height. That's one way to write the area equation of a triangle. Or you could write base times height all divided by 2, because again it was half of a rectangle. That's where the half comes from. We're going to do another example on a grid. Are you ready?
No.
On a grid, it's going to be okay. You ready? Did everyone write down the equations? We need to find the area of this triangle, so I need to draw in a height. Whoops, 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 whoops. We need to draw in a height. Now, there's more than one way to do these problems. Yeah, I think it's easier. I think it's so much easier. You already thought of that, Ava? We're going to draw a rectangle. Did you draw it like that, Ava?
Yeah.
Around it? So what I would do, because this triangle is not perfectly half, let's see how this works out. I'm going to take my area of the rectangle, which I got was a total of 12, and minus the 3 little ones. It was 3 and 1.5 and 3. What is the area of the red inside triangle right here? What is it? 12 minus 7.5, 4.5. So in this case, this triangle was not perfectly half of the rectangle because of how it was drawn. So we found the little rectangles, the little triangles on the outside subtracted it. Are we good with that method? Finding the pieces? Yes? No? School your minds? We're confused?
Yes.
Okay. We're going to go to the quick notes box. We just looked at shapes within shapes. More shapes. We'll practice it. There's one in our homework. We'll practice it. Let's summarize what we talked about for area of triangles. So you've got an equation. The area of a triangle. 1/2 times your base times your height. The big note that you need to make is the base and height must be perpendicular. $90 degrees. Let's try the first one together. The first one together says the area. Oh man, it tells us the area and it tells us the base, and we need to find the height. So we're working backwards. So again, the area equation is 1/2 times the base times the height. So think about what you're given. I'm given the area. I'm given my base. So I'm going to plug these things in. 1/2 times 12 times h. And now I have an equation where I'm just solving for h. So So now I'm working backwards. So what's half times 12? 6. 6 times h. How would I get h alone? It's 6 times h. How do I undo times? Division. So then my height is what? The height is 4 centimeters because it's labeled with centimeters. Are we okay with number 1? Number 1, we're working backwards with the equation. Ask yourself what you're given. What are we solving for? Let's do number 2. Number 2, it's an obtuse triangle. Which one's the height and which one's the base? The 10 is the base, the height is 6.4. Do I need this extra 4? No, it's a distractor. Do not use that. It's not part of this triangle. So now we're just going to do 1/2 times 10 times 6.4. We're doing that in our calculator, please. 2 composite problems. Composite means multiple shapes. We're going to add them together. Let's do one of them. Which one do you want to do? 3 or 4?
4.
You want to do 4? 4 looks less scary?
Or 4 looks more scary.
Well, I'm asking which one do you want to do?
4.
We're going to pick one. We're running out of time for homework.
4.
Great, we'll do 4. Let's do 4. Composite areas. You saw some composite areas yesterday with rectangles and squares, and now we just added in a triangle. So I'm gonna make some sections here. I'm gonna make that a triangle, and it's a right triangle. So looks like my height is what? 7. And how long is the base? This is 10. This is 3. Do you see that? Carries down. So 1/2 times 13 times 7. What's the area of that triangle? If you ever are having issues in your calculator typing in 1/2, you could always write 0.5. 45.5. All right, and now I need to figure out the area of these rectangles or squares. How do you want to divide it up now?
That little section, you want to cut that off?
Like this? Yeah? No, like this? Okay, doesn't matter. We should get the same answer. No, we don't like it. So this whole length is how many? 2 plus 3. 5, and this whole thing is 6, so this must be 30. This top one is 3 by 5, so it's got to be 15. Let's add them together. 30, 15, plus our triangle. .5 centimeters squared. So there's a composite problem with triangles. Questions? We have 17 minutes to work on our homework. Your homework is 1 through 7.